Hey everyone, and welcome. You know, it's easy to think of science as this big, dusty book of facts that are set in stone. But that's not what it is at all. It's actually a living, breathing process, constantly questioning, testing, and yeah, sometimes admitting it was wrong and rewriting the rules. And today, we're going to look at what happens when that rewrite is a big one. I mean, seriously, what if just one fossil, or one tiny particle collision, or one new molecule could completely upend what we thought we knew for sure? Well, that is the power of a real breakthrough. And we've got three amazing stories for you today from totally different worlds. We're diving into our own ancient past, the very nature of reality itself, and the future of medicine. And each one is challenging old ideas in some pretty profound ways. Okay, first up, let's head into the world of paleoanthropology. There's a mystery that's been bubbling for decades, and it is just now getting a seriously dramatic new chapter. So say hello to SW573, but everyone calls him Littlefoot. He was found way back in 1998 in South Africa's Sterkfontein caves. And get this, it took 20 years, 2 full decades, to carefully dig him out. And for good reason, this is, without a doubt, the most complete skeleton of an ancient human relative we have ever found. He's a total legend in the field. Right away, though, Littlefoot sparked a huge debate. I mean, for years, scientists just could not agree on who or what he was. The guy who discovered him, Ronald Clark, was convinced he was a species called Australopithecus prometheus. But a lot of other experts argued, nope, he's one of the more famous locals, Australopithecus africanus. But here's the twist. What if they were both wrong? A brand new study, led by Dr. Jesse Martin, just took a fresh look, and what they found is that Littlefoot's unique combination of features, well, it doesn't really fit either of those species. As Dr. Martin says, we could be looking at a completely new branch on our family tree. And that's huge. This isn't just adding a new name to a list. It's literally redrawing the map of early human diversity. All right, now we're going to take a giant leap from ancient bones to the absolute smallest scales of reality. We're going inside the Large Hadron Collider, where another bedrock assumption is being put to the ultimate test. So to get this next one, we need to talk about a concept called entropy. And don't worry, it's pretty simple. It's basically just a scientific way to measure chaos or disorder. The common sense rule is, when you smash something up, you expect the disorder, the entropy, to go way up. And you can't really get much more smashy than slamming protons together at almost the speed of light. So before the collision, you've got the neat little system of quarks and gluons inside. The crash itself creates this insane, chaotic, roiling sea of particles. And then afterwards, new, more stable particles shoot out. And this is where it gets totally weird. The logical guess, right, was that the crazy chaos in the middle would increase the total entropy of the system. But new analysis of the data shows something absolutely mind-blowing. The total amount of disorder before the collision is basically identical to the total disorder after. It doesn't change. So how is that even possible? Well, it turns out to be a direct confirmation of this super fundamental rule in quantum mechanics called unitarity. And what that means at its heart is that in the quantum world, information can't just be created out of thin air or erased forever. It's like even in that unbelievable chaos, the universe was keeping perfect notes. Okay, for our final story, we're moving from the really out there theoretical stuff to something deeply practical. It's a brand new approach to medicine that has a really, really dangerous past. So the idea revolves around something called mitochondrial uncoupling. You can think of your mitochondria as these tiny power plants inside your cells, turning food into usable energy. Uncoupling is basically a way to make that process less efficient, forcing the mitochondria to burn more fuel, like fats, and release that extra energy as heat. But this whole idea comes with a pretty dark history. Back in World War I, workers in French ammo factories started mysteriously losing a bunch of weight and getting high fevers. The culprit? A chemical called DNP. By the 1930s, it was being sold as a miracle weight loss drug. And it worked. But it was also incredibly deadly. It caused uncontrollable overheating because the line between a dose that worked and a dose that could kill you was terrifyingly thin. And this is where modern science is just so cool. Researchers today are developing what they call mild uncouplers. Instead of DNP's crude sledgehammer approach, these new molecules are designed for precision. They're fine-tuned and safe, designed to boost calorie burn without frying the cell. The researchers have a fantastic analogy for this. Think of a hydroelectric dam. DMP was like blowing a giant, catastrophic hole in it. These new molecules, they're like creating a small, controlled leak. You're still releasing some energy safely as heat, but you're not destroying the whole power plant. It's just a much, much smarter way to do it. So, we've looked at an ancient fossil, a subatomic collision, and a cutting-edge drug. 3 completely different worlds, but they all tell us something really important about how science works. Every one of these stories shows science in the middle of a conversation with itself. We thought we had our family tree figured out, but nope, it's way more complex. We expected total chaos in a collision, but we found this beautiful, hidden order. We had a dangerous, clumsy tool, and now we're building a precise, safer one. And that, right there, is the real point. Science isn't about having all the answers. It's a method. It's a process for making our understanding better, for poking holes in our own conclusions, and for slowly, carefully getting a little less wrong over time. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What accepted fact from our textbooks right now is just waiting for the next Littlefoot or the next surprising result from a lab to turn it completely on its head? And that really is the beauty of it all. Thanks so much for joining me.